remember loving beating the boys, and I've got this really enduring memory of when I started rowing. I was really, really young, and it was at the age when they didn't. It was like junior 10 or junior 9, so you were like very small, and there weren't separate divisions for girls and boys. And I was the B sculler for our club, and the A sculler was a boy. And I was like, what have I got to do to be the A sculler next time we race as junior 10? He was like, well, you got to beat him. So I did. I went out and I did. You know, it's sort of, and I think I've kind of that attitude of not. They're just sort of wanting to upset the kind of perceived order of things, or wanting to prove that just because I'm a girl, there's no reason why I can't do anything, is sort of an attitude that I've had. I was always very driven, and my parents were always really, really supportive, and I think that was probably the main sort of facilitating factor that got me to where I am now. When I was in year 4, I think, so when I just moved up to middle school, I was really badly bullied because of being like red hair and freckles and being keen and wanting to study, and I had a really tough time at school for about a year, and my parents decided that it was too important a time, and so they took me out of that school and they got me a place at a little prep school on a scholarship, because my dad's a firefighter and my mum's a nurse, and they were always pretty strapped for cash. When I was coming up to my GCSEs, I knew I wanted to row a bit more seriously, and I'd actually been rowing in the grounds of this amazing private school which was near where we lived, and so we went to them, and because I was academically well set up and good at the rowing, they offered me a scholarship. The Oxford Women's Boat Club knew that I was coming, and so they sort of kept in touch, and I sort of fobbed them off for a little while, and then I decided that I kind of missed the structure that doing sport gave me, because I'd always balanced academics. I wanted to be able to see what I could do with, with the lightweight rowing in this kind of new arena for me. So I went to my tutor in college and had a really frank discussion with him, and I think I really owe where I am now to him, because he was like, why are you in such a rush to get to clinical school? You can be a doctor for 40 years and you can only do rowing at this level when you have got all the training in the bank and while you're young. Why don't you take a year off? And so I got a job as a research assistant in a lab and trained full time, and at the end of that year I was in a fantastic position where I'd won the World Championship. When I started, it was just, I wanted to keep everyone happy. I wanted to be the world's best PhD student, and I wanted to do all of the training and be the world's best rowing person ever, and it was just too much. I got to January last year and I was so sick that I couldn't get out of bed because I just fainted. I knocked my head and gave myself a concussion on Christmas Eve and was in A&E. I was overtrained, under-recovered, really stressed, and just because I'd pushed myself so hard, I'd get up at 5 and go training, and then I'd dash really in my car and I'd be back in the lab by 12:30, and then I'd be in the lab until, I'd stay in the lab until the professor left, so that they knew that I was there until the very end, and then I'd sort of go home and I'd have to do all my laundry and make my dinners and make this and that, and I'd be on the go, and it'd be like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then I'd fall asleep and then I'd go again, and it was just too much. And at that point, I remember going and sitting in my car and calling the team doctor and my parents and just being in bits, because it was like, this is just all fallen to pieces around me, and that was really hard. But I think looking back on it, I remember looking back on that when I sat on the start, I was getting ready to sit on the start line of the World Championship 6 months later, and it's just a testament to the fact that I had a lot of support from my family and the squad, the GB squad, decided that that they would help me fit things around, and it was just being honest with people about my limitations, and that's still something that I sort of struggle with. Sometimes I just have to be like, you just have to be kind to yourself. It was like a case of picking all the broken plates up off the floor, gluing them back together, and then getting them back up on their sticks again. It's important to do what you want to do, not because you think that you ought to do it. And I don't think that university is necessarily the right choice for everyone. So I think that just not accepting the normal trajectories of things, and not feeling like any doors are ever closed just because you missed the boat because you didn't pick a right option.